We have all seen the sad faces of Kaizer Chiefs management during games. Chiefs is losing or Chiefs is drawing. And a lot of people then ask themselves the question, why are these men not making any changes if they see that there's something wrong with the club? But it's not as easy as you think. And we're going to talk about why that is the case. And we're also going to talk about the sad reality that is being faced or that faces Kaizer Chiefs fans. Hello and welcome to Khosi Nation Fan TV. I am Pelo, I am your host, and this is where fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs. Khosi Football Club. Let's start with something that was published on Twitter like a week ago. Someone posted and he was showing how many cups are won by each club, and Kaizer Chiefs were right below Al Ahly, and then Sundowns, Pirates and any other South African team were nowhere to be seen. To which people were like, yeah, look at Chiefs, even after Sundowns' dominance, Chiefs are still on top. And then everyone else was like, look at you talking about your history and stuff like that. And you are forgetting the fact that Swallows were also a big team at some point. And that triggered me because I see that, I understand again that there is bantering. But I feel like this delusion that we have that somehow we're still competing with Mamelodi Sundowns is just sad. We are not in competition with the Sundowns right now. At this point, we are competing with Stellenbosch and Cape Town Spurs and Cape Town City, I mean. And that's also sad on its own. But what makes this situation worse is the fact that as sad as we are, even our management at this point, it seems like it's difficult for them to make the decisions that will make us stop defending ourselves and our club by the things that happened back in 2015. Because you look at our management right now, they are torn and divided between what is best for the team at this moment. Because we are not producing anything in terms of results, we are not winning jack squat. You will find Kaizer Chiefs fans bantering with Sundowns fans about the fact that Sundowns have spent a lot of money but have not reached the finals of the Champions League in a long time, but we did in 2020 as if we won. But the point is that I'm making is there's nothing in terms of the results. And the management are now trying to promote the product of Kaizer Chiefs as, look at us, we're a brand, we're best at marketing, everything that we do is proper. Which is commendable because I wouldn't want to support a club that does not do things properly. But at what cost? Ne? Because it's not just about the brand promoting itself as a brand so that they can get sponsors, right? But at the same time, it's also the brand sometimes taking priority over footballing matters. Let me show you the example. Kaizer Chiefs, like any other company, like any other brand, they need to always seem like they know what they're doing, because if you don't look like you know what you're doing, then you are sort of scaring away the sponsors. Because if you are working with Kappa and you are firing coaches every 2 months, then what ends up happening is the fact that with the people who are investing money in your company, you look like you are not sure about what you are doing. And if your name is looking bad, that means you are also affecting the people who are basically investing in your company. And if those people who are investing in you are not confident in what you're doing, then it's easy for them to pull out. Or the potential investors who want to put money in your club, they look at you and they don't know how to run a brand. Then that scares them away. So there are things that now Kaizer Chiefs has to do in order for them to appear like they are well put together, so that they do not they do not chase away potential sponsors. The example that is classic is Calvin Johnson. Like Calvin Johnson, he was hired to come and do a simple job. Do what? Go and be in youth development. But when Chiefs fired Molefintsek, before we even go to Molefintsek, towards the end of last season, fans were very angry with Atazwan. And the project with Atazwan was supposed to be 3 years. But they tried to get Nabi, they couldn't get him. And one of the main reasons they wanted to get rid of Zwane was because of the fact that fans were not happy with him and they were throwing things at him. Now, Chiefs could have done that if they had all the sponsorships, if they were sponsoring themselves, because they were like, we're sticking with Zwane because we believe Zwane. We sat down, we took a decision. However, since these incidences were following Chiefs, that the coach got things thrown at him, then that's not a good look for a brand. As such, we need to let go of Zwane. And since we've failed to get Nabi, now what we're going to do, we're going to spin the story and hire a coach who is here. Because people already know that we are trying to sign someone and we are removing Zwane. But now the person that we are bringing in has not won anything, but how do we sell him to the masses, to the Kaizer Chiefs fans? And they sold him by saying he's already been in the technical team and he knows how things are going around here, which is obviously not the best thing to do, because just because the kid manager knows how things are done in the technical team, that does not make him qualified to be the senior coach of Kaizer Chiefs. Because the most important thing that qualifies you to be the senior team of Kaizer Chiefs is knowing how to win. That's very important, because even coaches like Ernst Middendorp, if he had won the 2019-2020 season league, people wouldn't care because he knew how to win. They would complain about football, I would, but the most important thing would be we're dominating the league. Fast forward, Liffenstein doesn't do well, then they fire him. After a while, they should have done it earlier. Anyways, when they fire him, they're like, oof, what are we going to do? We can't really put Zwane as an interim manager. Fans are going to be mad. We can't put Shepard. He does not have enough experience. So then they get Calvin Johnson, who they brought on for a completely different reason, and they make him an interim coach. Now, they have a whole December and January to find a new coach who's going to be permanent and take the coach to the end of the season. Problem is, if they do that and the next coach doesn't succeed, you know what happens? This coming June, they would have to fire that coach. And if I'm Vodacom, I'm investing in this team. Like, they've fired 3 coaches in one season, or they've changed coaches three times in the same season. So now they have to say, you know what, let's stick to Johnson and hope that this works. Because if it works, then it's easy for us to sell Johnson to the masses and say, look, this is what it did. So there's no problem with us making him permanent. But if it doesn't work, as a brand, they're saying Valley was an interim, now we've gone out and found a coach. But now what this is doing is we're doing the same thing we did with Unsek. We're bringing in a coach who's good in one aspect, youth players who can do that job which was brought on for, and we're risking him not being successful because we're hoping that he might do well. And I know that any coach is a risk, any transfer is a risk. But right now we're saying, how do we look to our investors? And now we're sacrificing and leaving our success 50-50 because we don't want to upset the investors, which is really sad if you think about it, because here we are fans, we are angry, we think they don't care, but they sort of do care, but at the same time they don't. I'm not saying they don't care about the club, it's just that there's a conflict of interest, because what do you prioritize? Looking good to your investors, who are the ones who are investing to the club, and that's how you keep the club running, or looking good to the fans by producing results, who are also stakeholders because they are the ones who buy merch of your sponsors. So now Chiefs find themselves in this situation where they don't know which part of this whole thing to actually prioritize, because they prioritize us winning, they are risking the coach not succeeding. But at the same time, prioritizing the brand, it's also a problem. But they know at the end of the day that as fans, we will not accept being disrespected by other teams telling us about how Chiefs has not won anything in 9 years now, 8 years, because we are going to defend our team. And they know that, and they're counting on that. But what I've also noticed, which is sort of kind of sad, is that, yes, I appreciate when Chiefs come out and say false news and whatnot. But to me, at times, it also comes as if now they are trying too hard. Because, for one, our Chiefs were asked to do a simple thing. Be in contact with the fans on Twitter, open spaces, do this and that. Did they do that for a certain period and then they stopped? Yet they are still active on Twitter, coming up and doing this and that, telling us Laduma is lying. But there are certain things that they should be updating us about the club, which they don't tell us. And most of these things, some of them which are true, we get from Abo Diski Times, we get it from Abo Sowetan, we get it from these other sources who end up at times lying about Chiefs. So then at the end of the day, it's like, if you are going to be bashing all the false news, then report the true news as well, because that's why the page is there. Now they even have WhatsApp. It's even easier to do things like that. Update us on injuries. I mean, Chiefs has a YouTube channel. It wouldn't hurt for them to be telling us about news there on the channel. But then again, remember, they deal with Super Sport where they do Kaizer Chiefs TV there. So once again, it's a deal, and not everyone can afford DSTV. I know that for people who are watching this channel, not everyone can afford DSTV. So there is that thing, Yoguti. Chiefs, like any business, I guess, is in that situation. What do we actually do about the situation? But footballing wise, anyone will say this is Kaizer Chiefs Football Club and football should be prioritized. But obviously someone would say, no, Mpilo, give the coach some time and let the team do what they want, because at the end of the day, this money that we get from sponsors is the same money that is going to go out next season and buy us a left back. So if we ruin our relationship with sponsors, we are kind of ruining the football club itself. But what's your take? Do you think that Chiefs should just prioritize the game as it is and find the best coaches and be ruthless, kind of like what Roman Abramovich was doing at Chelsea? You do bad, you get fired. Imagine if Chiefs were the cheaper, if Kaizer Chiefs were the moneyed version of Chippa United. You don't do well, you get fired. Because Chippa United has not been getting relegated, has not gotten relegated for a long time, because they are very ruthless with coaches. If you don't do well, you get fired. So do you think Kaizer Chiefs should take that route and say, if a coach doesn't do well, we fire them because the priority is the results? Because that seems to be the thing that a lot of people say. Do let me know. Should we become like Chippa, or should we stick to what we're doing right now? If you've been watching the video to this point, surely you're enjoying it. So please do make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember, Khosi, I'll pay you more.